wildlife biologist Eric Orff with my New Hampshire YouTube channel, and today I'm talking to Cheri Patterson, who works at the New Hampshire Fish and Game Marine Division office down here in Durham, the Region 3 office, where I actually wrapped up my career. The last 20 years I worked out of this office and worked with Cheri on some projects, but early on we worked together in the Fisheries Division. But here down on the coast, there's been a very successful effort to restore river herring, and then there's also an attempt to restore shad. And I don't know how successful that was or has been. So let's talk shad first and then wrap it up with the river herring. So tell me a little about the efforts to restore, or were there any shad here in the rivers already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was likely shad, definitely river herring historically in our river systems. Chances are the shad were in the bigger river systems than the river herring could be in any of the smaller river systems as well as the bigger systems. So, unfortunately, the industrial age, of course, built dams in order for them to utilize water power and such. And there was essentially not one river system in the coast that did not have a dam. And
so we're talking the Salmon Falls River, Cocheco, Exeter or Squamscott, Lamprey, the Bellamont,
Oyster, Lamprey, Squamscott, Winnicott, every single one of them had a dam.
Okay, so almost 10 rivers.
So there was no way that these anadromous fish could migrate to their natal streams.
Right.
And while some of the species could withstand some salinity, others could not. They needed to get into fresh water. So those anadromous species essentially diminished down to not much of anything that could survive at the base of the dams for any length of time.
Okay.
Any length of run.
Right.
Stable runs. So back in late 60s, early 70s is when Fish and Game and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service had a concerted effort to build fish ladders on dams.
So when I went to school at UNH here in Durham from 68 to 72, and in almost all that time I can remember the Oyster River ladder being there. And whether it was there in 68, I can't promise you, but by 69, I'm pretty sure I remember the ladder being on the Oyster here in Durham. So it was in sometime in the 60s that these ladders were built, pretty sure.
So, well, they started in the late 60s,
Okay.
early 70s is when they were being
All
built.
right.
I think the earliest one we had built was the Taylor and the Winnicott.
Okay.
In fact, the Winnicott might have been back in the late 50s.
Oh, really? Wow.
And it was
So an effort was ongoing from the 50s to restore river herring to these rivers.
correct.
Okay.
Correct. Or smelt. To
Okay.
try
Oh,
and
yes.
see if we could get smelt up further into these river
Ah.
systems also. Smelt are much smaller, much weaker swimming fish, so
Right.
fish ladders really weren't going to help them, it turned out. But once the fish ladders got put in,
Yeah.
the fish were knocking at the door,
Wow.
and they started to come in small numbers, and then would
Grow.
keep building. I think in the lamprey, our highest returns have been over 80,000
Okay.
in some years. The Taylor River used to sport 500,000
Okay.
returning into that impoundment.
Cocheco.
Cocheco, I think the highest that's been might have been about 60 or 70,000.
Okay. Now the Cocheco is where, at least I think the Oyster and the Cocheco, those are the two dams I remember going with you, because I worked out of the Region 3 office here in Durham, even though I was the wildlife biologist and at the time still the bear biologist and the fur bearer biologist. But in this office we helped each other immensely. So I know when staffing was short or there was someone needed a pair of hands, Well, the hams happened to be attached to my body, and over I'd go, and I remember counting river herring in Dover, and I'm pretty sure on the oyster too. I remember working on the ladder a little bit on the lamprey in Newmarket, but I don't remember counting the fish there. But anyway, so I had my days, and as I told Doug in the interview with him, for a period of a year or two when I was in this office, early on in the early 90s, when John Nelson was the chief, I was actually moved into the Marine Division. So I have my shirts and coats at the time said Marine Division. So there was a period of years that I was a bear biologist that was a marine biologist.
There you go.
So there were the days that I actually worked on, I remember, putting some clams back, and I dive tended Doug and John, and did some of the seine fishing. So, but likewise, when a moose rolled in here from Moose Check Station, who would be the first one up in the truck? Cheri, to tie up the moose and help me weigh it. So, this was a great place to work. A lot of camaraderie, and worked with the COs as well over here. It was an awesome place to work, and so back to river herring. So I helped count river herring a few days.
Yeah, back in those days, we did hand count everything we went through. Now we have counting tubes that go through extend through the fish ladder so that the fish can swim right up.
Right through.
And swim through, and they can get counted. And we just show up once a day and do a time count to make sure the counter is counting
Is
correctly.
correct, is calibrating.
If not, then we can
fix it.
adjust our time counts or our totals for that day.
So every April this occurs.
April, May, and into June.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the rivers are not seeing as much returning. We've got some impoundments that are showing impairments.
Okay.
That need.
So as developments happen, you've got more warmer runoff, less oxygen.
Less
so
oxygen.
it's really people impacts.
It is people impacts. Yeah, these impoundments are starting to fill in. They're old, over 100 years old and such. So.
Now, did I just read that the Sawyer Mill Dam was taken out? Was that in Dover?
It is.
Now, I remember when I was in high school, I was a junior in high school, so it would be 1967. Either the spring of 67 or spring of 68, I belonged to the Londonderry Fishing Game Club, and a group of us would come over to dip smelt below the Sawyer River Dam. That
was the first one. That was taken out about 10 years ago.
Oh, was it? Okay.
This one is at the Sawyer Mills. There's actually two dams.
Okay,
so
all right.
The first one was gone where you used to dip net against the wall.
Yep, yes.
The wall,
yes.
behind the big mill building.
Yeah, my best friend Rick Hamill and I would be dipping away. I would have waders with holes in them, so my waders would be full of water. We'd get there and we would hear robins singing, so it would be getting light. We would realize it was time to go home and change and go to school. So we would actually dip smelt all night long until the sunrise. Then we'd go home and go to school.
Yeah, that's when dipping was allowed.
Yeah, we love. Yeah, then it was stopped. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, we do have some dams that are gone now.
Okay.
The town of Exeter removed the Head of Tide Dam.
Yep.
In downtown Exeter, and we are seeing fish being able to move through that area freely.
Now there's one dam further up, Pickpocket still there?
Pickpocket is still there. That's the second.
But is that so far up it doesn't really matter? Or
Well, we actually have a fish ladder on that, and fish have been known to utilize that.
Okay, so you run it every spring still?
We do.
Wow.
In fact, that's our next area for being able to count how many returns
to the Exeter.
into the Exeter system. However, not getting as many that get up into Pickpocket.
Okay.
Whether there are beaver dams along the way or other trees down or something.
Yeah, okay.
They're just not making it. Some are, but there's certainly not a lot. The lampreys are coming up through just fine.
Oh, nice. They're cool.
The shad, we did try a restoration project with the shad, try and get some shad back to New Hampshire river systems and such. So we had a project where we were stocking eggs in the Cocheco, Lamprey, and Exeter rivers again, where we go to the Charles River, or we'd go to Holyoke, Mass, and at nighttime.
gill net and catch them.
and gill net.
I
the
did that with
shad.
John Greenwood
Yes,
to
John
get shad eggs for the
Greenwood.
Merrimack River. Yes, I did.
Yes, yeah, we would go and get eggs and then do that all night long.
Yep.
Drive back in the morning
Yep.
and lay the eggs in the river system.
Did
So-
that for a couple of springs with John Greenwood. Yes, I did.
Right.
For the Merrimack, yep.
Right, and then we determined that that was not really a good way of going about
Okay.
trying to restore these fish. We just weren't getting any returns.
Okay.
Probably the eggs weren't as viable by the time we put them in the water, or
Okay,
they
right.
were preyed upon, or just, it wasn't
Huh.
successful to go to that procedure to restore
Hmm.
shad runs.
Okay.
So then we got a shad truck.
Yep.
The Fish and Game Department got a
Yep.
shad truck, and we
It had a
started-
round tank on it.
Yes, and it was a single tank. Now
Yes.
we have a double tank
Oh, that's
shad
right.
truck. And we would go to Holyoke, Mass.
Okay.
Originally,
Get delts.
and get the adults, and we'd stock the adults into the river
Okay.
systems. And we started seeing some returns from that stocking process of adults
Okay.
after, they return at 4, 5, 6 years,
Okay.
6 years old. And, but we weren't getting a lot back into those river
Huh.
systems. So then we
Okay.
decided to focus on one river system.
Okay.
Considering we had 2 fish ladders on the Exeter River, and it opened up
All right.
more river miles in any of our other river systems, we decided to start focusing on restoring shad to the Exeter River birds,
Okay.
and then we'd branch out into the other rivers, once that became successful. But we did that for many years, and we would get fish back, but certainly not enough to be
Enough.
self-sustaining.
Okay. All right.
So
End of that.
now we have, yes and no. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service now has a hatchery in Nashville,
Yes.
and they have been looking at restoring shad. It's been a long,
Right.
long series of restorations in the Merrimack River, and they are also helping us more recently
Oh.
with stocking shad fry, because
Oh.
they're able to get eggs
Okay.
from the Merrimack
Yep. Now.
now, and they've been stocking the lamprey for the last 2 years,
Ah.
so we kind of have our fingers crossed to
Well,
see
wouldn't
how
that be
will-
awesome? Wow.
how that will go about.
Huh.
And we have Salmon Falls River, we might have some more fish ladders going into a series of dams that are
Okay.
being relicensed under the FERC process.
Okay.
So if that's the case, we might start restoring the Salmon Falls River. That's a
Ah.
bigger river system
Yes. Yep.
that would be more attractive to shad,
Okay. Cool.
and see if we
So
can't
some
get-
future plans. Nice.
Yes, see if we can't.
Are
get
there any
those
other dams that are like on their list to be removed?
So as you said, on the Bellamy River, we're looking at, we've got the Sawyer Mill dams that are
Yeah.
coming out. We've got, there was 2 of them that were right there at the mill, so we got 1 out last year and 1's coming out this year.
Okay.
They're talking about the Oyster River Mill Dam still. I don't know if the town of Durham will be moving forward with that. The town of Exeter is also looking at Pickpocket Dam,
Okay.
because these dams have letters of deficiency
Yep.
in front of them from
So
DES.
it's cheaper to take them out than to maintain them, basically. Maybe.
You know,
Yeah.
it's up to the towns to
Right.
make those determinations as to
Right.
what they wanna do, so they go through a series of feasibility studies to
Okay.
determine if it's more feasible to keep and maintain a dam,
Okay.
or
Okay.
if it's more feasible to remove it.
Ah, cool.
So some towns have removed
Yep.
and some are keeping their
Yep.
dams,
Yep.
so,
They certainly are
It's their
historic
choices.
perspectives, yeah.
absolutely.
So let's see, the smelt are doing okay. I mean, we used to have a huge winter smelt fisheries. I mean, comparing them, we used to dip smelt. So, just maybe a 2 or 3 minute, got you here. Let's talk smelt for a couple of minutes.
So the rainbow smelt, they may be a canary in the mine for climate change.
Okay, wow.
Them, the northern shrimp, the
Yep,
Atlantic
northern
cod.
shrimp gone, yeah.
So we're probably looking at rainbow smelt populations contracting
Okay,
into colder water. So
Right.
they're still seeing them in good, healthy numbers in Maine,
okay,
mid-coast up to northern Maine
Yeah.
are nice, healthy rainbow smelt runs, but Massachusetts and New Hampshire seem to be having, we have runs, but
Right.
they're certainly not to the level that they used to be
okay.
any longer.
So even on the rivers, I mean, in the 1970s, early 70s was the Clean Water Act, and, these rivers were open sewers, and they were, by the early 70s or mid-70s, were certainly cleaned up. And in fact, when I went to college, UNH, between 68 and 72, some of the projects, when I worked summers, were putting in sewer systems in Manchester and Hooksett. I remember putting in, before there was sewer in them, I put the pipes in the ground. So the Clean Water Act helped me get through college. When I graduated, I owed nothing because I could work summers and make enough pay my tuition and room and board and live the year thanks to the Clean Water Act. So the Clean Water Act that I helped promote by working on putting in sewer pipes helped pay for my college. So, and by the mid-70s, our rivers were really pretty much clean, and so it's not really the sewer now, although I guess with the additional development, we've got warmer waters and therefore less oxygen. So it's not so much, well, I suppose there's still maybe nitrates from the lawn, so it's probably just it's a human-induced change.
It's a human-induced change,
Yeah.
warmer waters in general.
Yeah.
They're still coming in and spawning in the
Yeah.
springtime again. It's just not in great numbers that we used
Okay.
to see back in the 70s and
Right,
80s.
right. So it's
and
not because the
90s.
water is dirtier, it's because, even though it's cleaner, it's it's the temperatures.
More than likely it's the temperatures, yeah.
Huh.
Habitats are changing for
Yeah,
them.
okay. Anything else strikes your mind?
No.
Well, we've covered the bases, and I learned a lot today. Thank you very much.
We didn't cover the American eel, maybe some other day.
Okay, all right. We can do the eel, because eels, that's one of my favorite animals. I love eels, so yeah. I'll talk to you about eels another day. Thank you very much, Cheri. It's been an honor to work with you over the years, and thank you for this interviews today. And I learned so much from talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric.
You're
It's been
welcome.
a pleasure.
Bye.